Action 2 News this morning, a summer tubing trip down a Wisconsin river turned into a nightmare after a knife-wielding man stabbed several people. Details on the suspect and their conditions next. Several agencies spent hours battling a house fire in Oconto County as they tried to prevent it from turning into a grass fire. Plus, Wisconsinites are heading to Kentucky to help folks reeling from the historic floods as more rain is expected in that area tomorrow.
From WBAY TV, your first alert station, Action 2 News this morning starts now.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joshua Peguero. Casey Torres has a day off. We'll get to those headlines in a minute, but first I'm joined by meteorologist Cruz Medina. Cruz, August is tomorrow, the first day of August, and it kicks in the dog days of summer, and I'm hearing 90s this week?
Yes, we do have at least one day in the forecast that's going to have 90 degrees. That's going to be Wednesday, the warmest day of the week, but for today, no 90s. We do have some mid-80s. I'll actually show you those high temperatures in just a second. Let's first take a live look at Shawano. A gorgeous morning out there. Blue skies, not a cloud in the sky over Shawano. 66 degrees right now, and the humidity is tame, at least for the time being. Some other spots right now, 70 for Titletown and Appleton, 66 in Wapaka, 70s along the lakeshore already, and mid to upper 60s in the Northwood. So a very nice start to your day, very comfortable feeling outdoors. We'll check out your highs city by city with First Alert Pinpoint Predictor. You can see those mid-80s back in the forecast for today, so even a few degrees warmer than yesterday, definitely above average. But the cooler spots are going to be along the lakeshore, those upper 70s in Sheboygan, Manitowoc, and Kewaunee counties. In Sturgeon Bay, high temperature of 83 for today. So a great day to get out to any of the local beaches or pools. It's going to be warm out there, so make sure you're drinking water. Temperatures will be in those mid-80s under partly cloudy skies. We'll talk about a storm chance that comes tonight in about 10 minutes. Joshua?
All right, thanks, Cruz. Authorities say one person is dead and 4 others are in critical condition after a stabbing while tubing near the Wisconsin and Minnesota border. The incident happened yesterday afternoon as several people were beating the heat tubing on the Apple River in Somerset, Wisconsin. The St. Croix Sheriff's Office says a 52-year-old man allegedly attacked the group with a knife, killing a 17-year-old boy. 4 others, 1 woman and 3 men in their early 20s, were reportedly taken to the hospital with stab wounds. Deputies say the suspect tried to escape, but police have him in custody. The attack remains under investigation. Several agencies responded to a house fire in the town of Riverview in Oconto County. The Riverview Fire Department tells Action 2 News the fire was reported around 4 yesterday morning, and the scene was cleared almost 5 hours later. Fire crews also called on local construction company for an excavator to clear the area. There were no reports of injuries, and the cause of the fire is unknown at this time. Now to a first alert update on the shots fired investigation in Fond du Lac. Police say they responded to the intersection of North Hickory Street and Thomas Street around 10:16 Friday night for reports of gunshots in the area. Police say they found shell casings on the 400 block of Thomas Street. Witnesses told police a light-colored vehicle that looked like an old Honda minivan squealed its tires after the shots were fired. It was then seen reportedly leaving the area heading southbound on Hickory Street. Police say no one was injured during the incident and there was no property damage. Officers went door to door yesterday in that neighborhood talking to residents. A Wausau woman is heading to Kentucky to help victims of the destructive floods. Laurel Cooper, a Red Cross volunteer of 15 years, left yesterday morning, and she says scenes like this aren't new for her. She has volunteered to help people after hurricanes, floods, and tornadoes. Cooper says the most rewarding part is helping victims get back on their feet in the midst of destruction.
And they leave the shelters and go to their next chapter of their life, a new place to live.
While she admits the work isn't easy, she is happy to help those when they need it most. Cooper will be volunteering at the shelters and could be there for more than 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the death total from the floods has increased to 25 in Kentucky. Governor Andy Beshear says he's worried the toll will continue to go up for a long time coming as the water recedes and debris clears.
I'm worried that we're going to be finding bodies for weeks to come. Keep praying. I hope there are no more we ought to expect. There will be more loss.
A family member confirmed 4 of the victims are siblings, saying their ages range from 2 to 8 years old.
There was a house there and this trailer with this family of 6, and it just washed them away.
President Biden posted on Twitter a picture of him signing a declaration that a major disaster is happening in the state and ordered federal aid and more recovery efforts be supplied. The full extent of the damage may not be known for days or even weeks because many areas in the state are impassable. The New York City Department of Health declared a public health emergency due to the monkeypox outbreak. New York City becomes the second major U.S. city to make the declaration, right after San Francisco, who made the decision on Thursday. New York Governor Kathy Hochul declared a state disaster emergency Friday over monkeypox to strengthen ongoing efforts to confront the outbreak. New York accounts for more than 1 in 4 U.S. monkeypox cases. The time has come to bid farewell to a popular event. Today is the last day of EAA AirVenture, and there were visitors in Oshkosh from more than 80 countries. Megan Kernan spoke with organizers excited to welcome back international attendees this year after pandemic restrictions were lifted.
Every continent except Antarctica is represented.
Every year, hundreds of thousands of visitors from all over the world travel to Oshkosh to visit AirVenture. However, the pandemic has caused a noticeable absence in international visitors since 2019.
It's different, but it's the new normal. So we learn to adjust to it.
They're so glad to be back to Oshkosh. They've missed it. A lot of people come every year or every other year. And so for them to not have been here for 3 years, it's been difficult for them.
Michelle Bryson, chairman of the International Visitors Tent, says 2019 was a record-breaking year for them, with 93 countries represented. Bryson is sporting 10 of those countries who set their own individual attendance records on her nails this week.
We have Japan, Scotland, Syria, Poland, North Ireland, Jamaica, Italy, Bahamas, Belgium, and Austria.
Victor Briones, the co-chairman of the International Visitors Tent, says he first learned about AirVenture from a neighbor after moving from Chile to the United States and has been living in Oshkosh ever since.
He says, I need some help. I need somebody to speak Spanish. And I go like, I do. So he says, can you come with me tomorrow? I said, of course. So I came back with him, 33 years ago, and I'm still here. I haven't gone back home yet. So I love it. I just love it.
For Claudia Stuhlenmiller, traveling from Germany to Oshkosh for AirVenture has become a 30-year tradition.
It's the greatest and the best show, or let's say, gathering in the world.
While COVID-19 put a damper on international travel, organizers say they're adapting and hope for even more visitors next year. Reporting in Oshkosh, Megan Kernan, Action 2 News.
Now coming up, festivities took place in northern Wisconsin this weekend celebrating Hmong culture in the area. What Wausau has to offer for Wisconsinites next.
From WBAY TV, your first alert station, Action 2 News This Morning starts now.
We are in the final stretch of EAA's AirVenture as tomorrow is the last day. You're getting a live look at the EAA grounds through their Vintage Tower webcam. The guests are now walking on the grounds. We even saw people running this morning. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on your Saturday morning. We'll get to our top stories in just a minute, but that cam is just like amazing, EAA.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat it. It's moving around. This is actually our camera this time, but they've got...
is this somebody skydiving, sky gliding?
Well, I'm confused. Maybe sky gliding. I don't know what that is, but yeah, because they're kind of paragliding.
Oh, paragliding. There you go.
Our director helping us out back there. So, and then you got the planes. This is the coolest camera to show this time of the year. So EAA obviously a week-long ordeal, and it's just so cool. Like, I just sit back there sometimes and just watch the camera, because how cool, a free air show from our studio.
Yeah, and it's also fabulous weather. You were telling, I mean, this is just, all this stuff is just, all this action is a little much for me this morning. But so tell us about the weather, that Miss is going to be nice and clear today, right?
Yes, and the past few days have been nice too, with 70s. We're not going to see 70s today, but we will take a look back at what we've seen in the month of July, given we only have one more day to go in this month. So we've actually had more days above average than below average. The past 2 days have actually fallen either slightly below average or closer to our normals for this time of the year. But once again, by this afternoon, we are expecting those temperatures to be warmer. So mid-80s are in the forecast again. We'll check out your highs today with First Alert Pinpoint Predictor. I'm just going to name some cities off here. 83 in Lakewood, 83 in Wautoma, 84 for Wapaka, Shawano, and Green Bay. Upper 70s for Manitowoc and Sheboygan, 82 the forecasted high for Sturgeon Bay. As we look into tomorrow's forecast, temperatures will rise by 2 or 3 degrees. Another great day for outdoor plans. It will be slightly humid tomorrow, a bit breezy as well, but clouds will increase by the evening. Storms arrive overnight and into Monday, at least through the first half of your Monday. A big warm-up is in store for the middle of the week, though. We'll talk more about that coming up later in the show. Joshua?
All right, thank you, Cruz. Veterans were recognized at AirVenture with a yellow ribbon honor flight, arriving home after a day in the nation's capital. A huge crowd was there to greet the plane last night and those on it. In a First Alert update, Jason Zimmerman shares some of the highlights and memories made.
On the runway at Whitman Field, it was a hero's welcome. Just after the honor flight touched down with 100 veterans on board from the Korean and Vietnam Wars.
It was a fantastic day with my brothers. It was just unbelievable. A long time coming.
The plane left the EAA grounds early Friday morning, taking the veterans to Washington, D.C., where they visited places like the Smithsonian and Arlington National Cemetery. However, it was the memorials that stood out.
The Vietnam Memorial, I've been there 20 times. I buried 50 people in one panel, so it's always heartbreaking.
And now they just opened up the Korean War one now. That just opened up Wednesday out there. So that was one of the major, nobody saw it but us.
As always, though, the journey back is just as big. Friends and family members lining the airstrip for a patriotic welcome. Some say this is actually the highlight.
I couldn't believe it. When I looked outside, seen all these people out here. It's unreal.
This is breathtaking here. This was probably the most emotional part, coming off that plane.
Having the event at EAA is also a bonus. This is the 10th honor flight to land at AirVenture, but the first one in 3 years because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Reporting in Oshkosh, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.
At least 16 people, including 2 children, are confirmed dead due to the devastating floods hitting much of eastern Kentucky. Officials fear that number total will rise. Entire neighborhoods like this one in eastern Kentucky are underwater after heavy rains brought on flash flooding. Many residents are struggling to get in touch with their loved ones due to widespread service outages in the region. This is the scene in Perry County. Debris, vehicles all swept into piles of destruction. Residents are sifting through the debris as they try to salvage whatever they can.
When we got flash flooded, it went like 30 inches inside the church, and it destroyed about everything I got in the church.
The Biden administration saying rescue teams are out searching for those who are still missing.
Search and rescue efforts are ongoing with more than 20 search and rescue teams on the ground. Our hearts break for the families of those who have lost their lives or are missing, and to all those who have been impacted.
Kentucky's governor has called this one of the most devastating floods in the state's history and fears it may also be the deadliest. More rain is expected on Monday for the area. The U.S. House approves new legislation that will help communities in the West deal with severe wildfires and drought, ones that have caused billions of dollars in damages in recent years. The proposal is a combination of 49 bills that would increase the pay and benefits for firefighters, as well as boost mitigation projects for those affected by wildfires. It would also make it easier for wildfire victims to receive federal aid. You're seeing video from the Oak Fire that's been raging in California for over a week and isn't even 50% contained. Colorado Democrat Representative Joe Neguse, the bill's chief co-sponsor, says, quote, across America, the impacts of climate change continue to worsen, and in this new normal, historic droughts and record-setting wildfires have become all too common. What once were wildfire seasons are now wildfire years, end quote. The bill will now head to the Senate. New updates in the proposed prisoner exchange between the U.S. and Russia. The White House is shooting down a Russian official's idea to add another prisoner to the swap. Russian officials wanted Vadim Krasikov to be added to the deal. He's a convicted Russian hitman in German custody. Paul Whelan's brother, Paul Whelan is one of those who's in jail in Russia, commented on the situation saying, quote, I don't anticipate seeing any movement for months, or at least not until Mrs. Griner's case has concluded. End quote. Brittany Griner, the WNBA player, is being held in Russia. We'll be back with a look at weather after this.